In this WrestleTalk news, WWE releases coming, Vince McMahon's net worth revealed, Jay White to AEW, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
A disappointing Raw after WrestleMania isn't the only annual WWE tradition in April. There's also the even more depressing spring cleaning of talent on screen and behind the scenes within the company. And with Vince McMahon reportedly back in full control of everything, producing TV, running creative, and overseeing the whole WWE half of their newly formed company with the UFC, staff, and roster cuts are reportedly impending. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez has noted that within WWE, it's a countdown now to people being axed. Alvarez adds that these cuts are most likely to be in relation to office staff. This is Corporate Mergers 101, where a lot of the initial cost saving comes in merging duplicate roles across the two organizations. See The Office Season 2. Rather than WWE and UFC both having their own TV sales and sponsorship departments, for instance, they can now merge their existing departments into one. This often leads to layoffs to stop roles being doubled up. There's also the prospect of the WWE UFC parent company Endeavor putting their own people into key roles as part of the new structure. But with Vince back in charge, it's speculated many wrestlers will also be concerned about their status within the company. McMahon oversaw the release of numerous wrestlers over the last several years. Remember those streams? They were fun, including Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and Karrion Kross. Triple H brought 18 of them back while he was running creative in the last 9 months. They will likely be fearful of getting Samoa Joe, which means being cut a second time. Following their most successful event ever in WrestleMania 39 and the company's purchase by Endeavor and merger with UFC, WWE stock is at a 4-year high of $97.23 on April 4th, an 8.88 increase from closing on April 3rd. Not only is the company riding high, but Vince McMahon himself has now seen his own personal net worth jump astronomically to a staggering $3.1 billion, according to Forbes, making $198 million on Tuesday, April 4th alone. This allows Vinnie Mac to finally crack the 1,000 richest people in the world list. Congrats, Vince. He's even tastier now. Eat the rich. Nom, 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 nom. Move aside, Raw after Mania. You haven't really been a thing for half a decade anyway. It's all about the Dynamite after Mania now. Despite WWE being reportedly very interested in former New Japan Pro Wrestling star Jay White back in January, I wonder if anything changed between then and now. He did not debut on Monday's episode of Raw. Instead, he attacked Ricky Starks just before the opening match of AEW Dynamite, joining up with fellow Bullet Club member Juice Robinson, revealing that he is now All Elite. 2 swans. Watch Board Game Club, get on board. This is one of 3 talent acquisitions AEW have made since the wrestling landscape changed with Vince McMahon's full return to WWE on Monday. With AEW also announcing former NXT commentator Nigel McGuinness as All Elite, new manager of the Blackpool Combat Club Please, and PW Insider reporting WWE's former vice president of communications Adam Hopkins has also joined the company. Hopkins worked for WWE for 25 years and was a key part of building NXT during the Triple H years. Hopkins left WWE back in January.
Thank you for being awesome pledgehammers on our Patreon page. Have an Argy Bargy Margy Pargy and Ryan Disco Stewart. You can get your own shout out and loads of extra bonus content by visiting us at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Oli isn't here today to do the Dynamite review because there was apparently a jacket-related incident. Which means it's time for my review of Dynamite in about 5 minutes. This episode started off quick as we were under the impression it was going to be Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson. But during Ricky's entrance, the Bullet Club music hit and suddenly, here's Jay White. He and Juice laid out Starks and that's that. Jay White is All Elite. Do I think this is the best possible use of Jay White's re-debut? Not necessarily, no, but was this a very fun way to kick off the show? Yes. Yes, it was. It set the pace for the show, which maintained it for quite a while. After a recap of Adam Cole's return to the ring last week, Chris Jericho backstage said that Cole disrespected Garcia with his overlong celebration after his win, but he was confronted by Keith Lee, who looks awesome with grey hair. I'm so glad this look made it to TV. Lee intimidated Jericho and said next week they're gonna fight. Keith Lee versus Chris Jericho? Yes, please. Keith Lee is so cool. I got giddy and squealed just with him leaning over Jericho when he did his promo. He's so good. Have I mentioned that Keith Lee is good? Keith Lee is good. Great even. Amazing. Wonderful. This continued right into House of Black versus Orange Cassidy and Best Friends for the AEW Trios titles, which was a fun, fast-paced match filled with great spots, including Trent hitting a piledriver onto Brody King. That was fun, but in the end, Buddy Matthews picked up the win with the stomp. I really like how each of the members of House of Black are presented as great wrestlers in their own right. It's not just Malachi Black and his two lackeys. Matthews hasn't been presented as strong as Black and King, but wins like this are definitely going to help. Big fan. Luchasaurus returned, joining Christian Cage backstage by walking out of the door of red. And then we had Jamie Hayter versus Riho, which funnily enough was also excellent. Both of them are fantastic wrestlers and they worked really well together with great smooth wrestling. Jamie Hayter won clean, but both of them looked great here. Fun stuff. Renee Paquette then interviewed the Outcast backstage where they said they want to dethrone Jamie Hayter. The Acclaimed did a rap dissing the Jericho Appreciation Society, so Cool Hand Ange said it sounds like you want to fight together. So on Rampage, it'll be the four of them teaming together. This was silly and fun. Then it was MJF Day. MJF in Long Island is always magic, and he came out with a full brass band, sang a song, and was handed the key to his hometown. This was all incredibly fun. MJF cut a promo on a teacher he had in 8th grade called Mrs. Benedict, who used to laugh at him when he couldn't answer questions because of his ADD. She told him his chances of becoming a professional wrestler were slim to none, but the moral of the story is to not be like Mrs. Benedict. In other words, don't be a stupid bitch. MJF went for an encore, but Jungle Boy revealed himself to be part of the band and brawled with MJF. Sammy Guevara came out and held up the belt before heading into his match with Commander. MJF and Long Island is a magical combination and will always be. This was just wonderful pro wrestling nonsense. And speaking of nonsense, Commander does things in a ring that don't make sense. His match with Guevara here was a ton of fun, some great high spots, and a solid finish of a cutter off the top rope into the GTH for the win for Guevara. And after the match, Guevara cut what I thought was one of the better promos of his career, saying he pours his heart and soul into AEW. And if he, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and MJF are supposed to be the four pillars of AEW, MJF's pillar wasn't built by him, it was built by everyone around him. He was with Cody until he wasn't. He was Inner Circle until he wasn't. He was Pinnacle until he wasn't. He was The Firm until he wasn't. Whereas Guevara's pillar has been built by him and him alone, with match after match, moment after moment. This was honestly a really effective promo, and while Guevara isn't known for his great promos, I thought this one was really good. Hook then took on Ethan Page, where shock horror, Matt Hardy turned on Ethan Page and Hook choked him out. Okay. The newest member of AEW's commentary team, Nigel McGuinness, was backstage with Tony Khan for his latest huge announcement, where TK paid homage to All In, saying the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes put on an amazing industry revolutionizing show, so now they're going to put on All In London on August 27th this year. And best of all, it'll be in Wembley Stadium. I am pumped for this. For those who don't know, Wembley is a 90,000 seater capacity stadium. It'll be by far the largest audience AEW will have ever had up to that point. I wouldn't be surprised if AEW get close to selling out or even sell out Wembley. And that's incredible. This genuinely was a huge announcement that lived up to the billing of huge. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't do the thing, so next week in Wembley, Blackpool Combat Club beat up some people, I don't know who they were, and Bryan Danielson did a promo calling everyone else in AEW amateurs while they're professionals. Hangman Page came out and attacked them, or attempted to, and Bryan Danielson called him an amateur too. Of course, it was 4 versus 1, so Hangman was easily outgunned, and then Danielson attacked him with a screwdriver. You know, normal BCC stuff, really. This was very effective. I love BCC as heels. More of this, please. Danielson also said he loves everyone in Blackpool Combat Club, but nobody loves Hangman, and no one is coming out to save him. And no one did. Again, wonderful. And then it was time for the main event of the Guns versus FTR, titles versus careers. Specifically, the stipulation was that FTR had to win the belts here, not the match, which is a very crucial element of this one. It was a solid enough match and had some clever booking, with the Guns intentionally cheating in front of the referee, trying to get themselves disqualified so FTR would win the match, but not the belts, and would still have to leave the company. The ref used his discretion though and didn't DQ them initially, but after they continued with some more, it looked like he had no choice headbutt to DQ them, but Cat jumped in and stopped him DQing them, so the match continued. After some incredibly convincing near falls, including one where Austin Gunn hit Dax with a title belt off a diving headbutt, FTR managed to roll both of them up for a double pinfall and to win the tag titles, becoming the second team to become two-time AEW Tag Champions after the Young Bucks, which just makes sense. This was a nice feel-good end to the show, and it sent the crowd home happy. It's nice to send the crowd home happy, isn't it? Not saying anybody else should take any notes or anything. I'm just saying that sending the crowd home happy is good. That's all. This was a really good episode of Dynamite. It didn't quite have the level of storytelling progression of the previous week when it had all the stories, but what was here was very good. More than anything, the show was just really fun. Great matches, great segments, great professional wrestling. This is a 4 out of 5 show. And honestly, it's lucky that Oli had his jacket-related incident, because now it means I can try and find Laurie and speak to him about all this WrestleMania stuff that's happening. I'll see if I can find him. Laurie! Over here.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up? Ollie's gone crazy, that's what's up.
I mean, Oli was always crazy. This is nothing different.
He's got a point, you know.
He was always crazy, but this is different. He's been taking over everybody, he's been introducing all these new people who are all definitely Sullivan.
I mean, they're different people, Pete. Come on, one of them's got a hat.
But they're all definitely Sullivan. It's not the point. I just wanted to find people who don't have this WrestleMania yet, so we can stick together. Like, I don't know what Oli wants, I don't know what he's planning, but I'm worried.
Yeah, the thing is, I've had it with Oli Davis and his shenanigans. We would never do something to put people in harm's way, would we?
No.
Of course not.
Never.
It's crazy.
For too long we have suffered the slings and arrows of his oppression. For too long we have bowed to his esoteric whims. Fill out a to-do list. Have a turmeric shot. Eat this nice biscuit I bought you from France. No more, I say. No more. I am on the news tomorrow and I will confront him about this then. Good day.
Be safe.
Watch out for the hot tags.
I can't wait to get my hands on Oliver Davis. I'm going to rip the hairs out of his head. I'm going to put them back on his throat. I'm going to sneak his
We can trust Laurie, right?
We can totally trust El Fakador, 100%.
In this WrestleTalk news, top WWE stars threaten to leave with Vince McMahon back in power, many more details on Vince's Raw and the last-minute changes made, and more.